Oh. Breathe it in. Breathe it in. Drink it in. Here we
We're
are.
split.
We're back, babes. We're back. Oh my god. It's been some time off. It's been some time off. But here we are, back in the studio. Blah blah blah. I'm beautiful crowd. That's Infinite Dodge. We got Kevbo as well. We're coming back to you. Here we are, Victoris Amateur Series VAS Fall slash Autumn Split. Week one, day number one, four groups, 18 per group, 32 teams in total, 7 weeks of round robin play, 4 weeks of playoffs. You know the drill. You've been here before. It's 7 weeks instead of 9 weeks, though, so that is like actually really interesting. So each game matters that much more because we're missing 2 weeks of extra round robin play. It's so dope. We have about 15 teams back. A lot of teams have actually consolidated. There's less brother and sister teams. A lot of teams are I see fielding 10-man, 8-man rosters, have you? Like they're rolling deep, which is one of my favorite things to see. But it's all up to who's going to be number one in the end. This is a big one, 32 teams. Like, oh
Yeah.
man.
It's a little bit overwhelming, I'm not gonna lie. It's a lot to take in, it's a lot to process, but don't worry. Smell those pumpkin spice lattes in the air. Enjoy the crisp coolness of the autumn weather that is certainly here. You know, it's not still 90 degrees in this basement I'm casting from. That is for sure. But
I'm going to
not,
eat so many fried maple leaves, it's ridiculous.
oh, it's going to be great. I'm not sweating bullets right now. I'm excited to see these teams duke it out, and we're starting off with a great matchup here tonight, Kevbo. We've got our defending champs in the CB Dragons coming back to face Who Shot Me. It's going to be a spicy, spicy one.
Well, I think someone might have shot the CBD's top and support player because they're not in the squad anymore. Totally
Yeah,
gone.
it's been a lot of roster turnover.
Especially when we had that winners interview just after finals, they talked a lot about how much Rivered, or I think it was Blossom and Dawn, was really doing a lot of the shot calling for this team. So maybe a bit of a change squad. Might have just been a name change, and I wasn't paying attention.
No, because Cooper was definitely there. I don't know.
CB Cooper was there.
Top and support are the only two that are different. From what I
I'm so sorry. I thought you said jungle and support. Yeah. Look at that. Crusader and Spheric coming on in now for the Dragons.
It's interesting. It's interesting to see. Yeah, I mean, we do see Blossom and Dawn is still on the roster for the CB Dragons, but they're just further down, in that support role. It's school starting, college starting time for a lot of our members here in Victor. So, sometimes things take precedent. So I understand wanting to move from a starting role spot to a supportive backseat bench, if you will. But who's to say they might not sub in whenever they're available and still get that synergy going? That's the beauty of these large rosters, and there's multiple teams doing this, like throughout, just looking up down this 32 team list. A majority of them do have up to these 8 to 10 man rosters, so they can do stuff like this, which is something I love to see. But speaking of looking at all the rosters, I didn't get the graphic for everybody else to see, but
who needs graphics? We have the descriptive powers of some of the best storytellers in North American amateur esports here. You got Crow and Dodge. We'll break it all down for you. Kevbo coming in with the Blitzcrank propaganda on top. Mwah, chef's kiss. It's a perfect
new skin
perfect formula
announced.
New skin
announced.
Oh, yeah.
Do we know what it is?
There is a new Blitzcrank.
The recall is actually pretty swag. Yeah, there's already a skin spotlight.
It's like something games or whatever. Like
the like
it's all futuristic and stuff.
It's the I'm so sick of these skin lines. They're all the same. The sci-fi skin lines.
Back in my day,
they made her more of a robot.
Project Program, Mecha Beast, etc., etc. Give me. I miss when skins was like, oh, we put a funny hat on Rise. Now that's a skin, okay?
You know how many hats he has, though? It's insane. It's literally insane.
Not all this newfangled particle effect chroma, you can't tell what champion you're facing, what ability it is type skins. I hate it.
Is they ruined both skins and champions when they started adding cats.
Objectively incorrect.
Objectively
Pretty Kitty
incorrect.
Rangar, thank you very much. Get this guy off the cast.
You're right.
Before we go back into a time-honored tradition of flaming Kepbo here, though, I think it's something very poignant that you pointed out here, Crow, as we do get into fall, school is starting, it's a season of change and new things happening, and people with, obligations, they're not able to play as freely as they were in our summer split. Our producer from the summer split, Camcom, has left us to go to college and be a busy bee and still play in VRS on Thursdays, so what the heck, Cam? Why aren't you producing for us on Wednesdays? But that's all good because we welcome in a new Smurf. It's Proof. He's already an amazing caster, and now he's going to be learning to do the production stuff as well. Going to be guiding us through here tonight on the producing side of things, so that's cool. Always lovely to welcome somebody new to the team. And once again, big thanks to Camcom for all the work they put in over summer. They will be missed, but
Absolutely.
New tidings arrive, new teams are here. Do we want to sort of highlight who we're looking at in these groups, guys?
You right, 100%. Like, let's start with the Group A going through here. First off, this is a totally dope group automatically. Like, everyone in here is the 4 returning that we have, rather, are all heavy hitters. Well, 5 actually. Yeah, 5 returning in this group. Iridescent Dawn, Cerberus, To the Moon, Hyperion, NSG Infinity. 10...
There's a lot of roster changes with the
There's
returning
a lot,
teams,
yeah.
That's what I was looking at, which really caught my eye, because I was looking at who I expected to be some favorites here, and it's some different teams. One I'm definitely looking at though here, Kevbo, is actually going to be. I'm not sure if this iteration of Lit Club is new to VAS. We've had Lit Club teams before, but this is Lit Club Parables, and it's our boy, it's our caster, host extraordinaire, the substitute god, Becky Rita, who's going to be jungling for Lit Club here in the VAS in Group A. That's going to be very, very nice.
Yeah, it's a really, honestly, kind of funny change coming in from Becky here. Going to be popping off in jungle. Definitely known, I think, for some Garen gameplay. I know there's a little bit of a spicy. I believe it's mostly move speed you build Garen jungle.
Yep.
So
You
maybe
get
you're
away
gonna see
from
some.
You literally
Maybe gonna see some of that coming through. Super hyped to see what Lit Club does do over there. But like you said, there's a lot of returning faces. There's a lot of heavy hitters. There's a lot of roster swaps. Like I said already, there's roster swaps even in our returning champs here. So it should be interesting to see how things do play out, especially with a much more condensed season. I believe they got rid of the bye that all the teams had. So I'm going to condense the season a little bit more. It means you get to see our faces a little less, which is probably a good thing. But
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm beautiful.
Same. Don't ever sell yourself short here, Kevbo. Okay, you are gorgeous. I'm radiant. Crow is extravagant. Together, we're probably the best looking desk in North American Amateur. It has to be said. And our new producer, Proof. Don't get me started, dude's. He's more handsome than a Greek statue. It's insane. We have the God Squad here in terms of the looks. Supermodel status all around. for sure here.
We're here, and you got us, the spectacled trio of awesomeness, true. Just like, flexing our impaired vision, but at the same time, we're still just like stylish as ever. So it's great. I mean, yeah, they'll be missing out on 2 weeks of us on screen, but we'll still be in their hearts. So that's the real ticket there. Moving on to Group B.
This one's a little bit more.
It's a bit more up in the air. Yeah, a lot of teams that I'm not too familiar with. I do see some people have moved around from other rosters onto other teams here, and that's really dope to see. And once again, there aren't as many brother-sister teams that we had in summer. Some of them have actually condensed rosters, so that's one thing to look at here. And CBD are in our Group B here. So they're those champions from summer, but also the champions from spring. Degenerates Ascension are in here as well with a big stacked 10-man roster.
Yeah, I don't recognize any of these names for Degenerates Ascension. Kevbo, you have any I mean, Bixus is there, but only in a substitute level. Could these just be some name changes, or is this a whole new? Because they were changing stuff up with the roster. I remember they brought in a new support player near the end of the last split, and that's sort of where they regained their form a little bit. But I don't really recognize anything here. What about you?
I I think I've seen Dio before. I don't know if I played with them in another league somewhere or I just recognize that name for another team. But Degenerates rise, their ascension, if you will, was before my time.
This is true.
This is
So
true.
I casted them once last split, but I don't really know any of them super well. They were um pretty middling, I think, in
Yeah.
the last split. Still a very good team and not to be trifled with, but uh did struggle a little bit, like you said, during the regular season.
Some
Heard
other
that.
notables here in Group B, I think, Crow, is I think Going Ghost has a new logo here. It looks pretty sick.
Yeah, it
Uh,
does.
is everybody else in Group B here new? We have Team Tower Dive, Bing Chillers Omega. We got War Legion Dragon Knights. That's a handful.
That's a
Uh,
name.
then we got Who Shot Me, who's playing tonight here against our defending champs, and I recognize Isolde over on
Yes.
Tenebris Esports Phantasm coming on in. That is a name I recognize. And then yeah, we
And
got Going
Locust
Ghost coming
Cade, the
back.
god himself. Hello. That's the biggest.
Oh,
Like that's one of the biggest things I wanted to look at for this Tenebris Phantasm lineup. The fact that they have Isolde as well as Locust Cade on here. Locust Cade of all the fame with this new roster, and you're just like, wait a minute. Is
oh, and that's a
com-
former Team Ambition player. It looks like in
Yeah,
Trucks. So
and
we got
Trucks
some
is on there.
spicy
It's
rosters here in B.
right, yeah. So like that's what I was saying. These new teams, these new pickups, everybody's moving around. Like I want to see some magic happen, baby.
But we got two more groups to run through real quick. The highlights, we got Group C, of course. And again, it's a lot of newer names, but we do have Divine Ascension, who also have a new logo. Divine Ascension Moonstone, looking real nice.
Looking real nice there.
So
We got
Golden Providence is basically just our other finalists missing a top laner. So
Yeah.
oh yeah, look at that.
no more
New
Red Panda
rebrand.
Gaming.
No more Red Panda. They are now Golden Providence, and it's basically that team trying to make a run back to the top. And
I'm gonna
this
miss
could
the
be good.
RPG logo. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm
That
gonna
was
miss
a
Yeah,
top tier.
that was a cute logo.
But yeah, we got Rising Tide Typhoon.
With
Looks
Gerbs
like
in mid lane.
yeah,
Gerbson in mid
Misery
now.
coming in as the new jungler. I see some of the Rising Tide S Eagles players in there as subs. Probably less so going to be consistent subs, like Slim probably just going to be there in case they need a top lane sub so they don't have to go with an E sub and lose bans. But some interesting stuff coming in for Rising Tide, and that just leaves us
Absolutely.
with Group D here.
Group D, yes sirree. It's looking pretty nice in here. Most of these are new. I'm looking at the Acer Squadron lineup. I do like how they have theirs, but the other Tenebris group lineup in this one, Singularity, also has a very stacked roster. I'm okay, so not Jackie Love is actually pretty sick. Like literally insane. Like
Closer
trying
to
to
Jackie Love than not Jackie Love.
exactly, it's insane. But definitely one of the big teams to look out for, as well as Gecko Hawks, I believe. So out of all these teams from each group, I'm going to give you one to pick. Who is your early season hype beast? Who do you think might make it to the top of their group in each of these groups? Kevbo, start with you. Go.
I think my favorites for Group B has to go to our returning players. Group C, I'm gonna. I mean, they're just teams that have been there before. So I think I'm going to pull it out. I think the team that caught my attention the most in Group D is actually Celestial Anomaly Trash Pandas down there at the bottom. Got Night Train and Feathers and Fur. Gonna have a pretty strong team.
They got Vigar Feed as a backup there. I've seen some of their play recently. I don't remember if that was in CCS or if that was here in Victoris, but pretty decent player as well. So I think that's a good little pick there. And then Group A, Kev, I think you haven't quite gotten
I
to
skipped
yet.
over Group A because honestly, I don't know.
The
I
toss
guess
up lineup,
I'll
yes.
just back my homie Becky Rita.
Oh
Yeah.
boy, that's what I'm talking about. Let's go, Lit Club. Okay, Dodge, you're up to bat. What out of all these
Okay.
groups? Give me
You
your
see, it's
top of the
weird.
table earlies.
I want to give it to either Iridescent Dawn Cerberus or NSG Infinity coming out of Group A, but both of these rosters are so different now than what they were. I mean, you have Team Ambition Dayspawn here, which was also a pretty decent team last split. You have Kaiser Coolness there, a well-known player here in VAS. So I'm gonna also go with the caster bias and piss off all of our players who are watching right here and just say I expect Lit Club Parables, whether or not they're good, to be the most entertaining. I see HD graphics, I see Becky Rita, and I say that's gonna be a team to watch for me. Whether that's because they're gonna win or because they're going to explode hilariously, only time will tell. But I'm definitely keeping my eye on Parables. Then out of Group B, got to agree with my esteemed colleague Kevbo here. It's got to be CB Dragons for me, keeping a lot of that same roster together, and our returning champs. Although Degenerate Ascension also catch my eye. Coming through from Group C, I like pain, and I'm loyal. So I'm going to expect Rising Tide Typhoon to come out on top and be disappointed when they don't. And then for Group D, I'm technically an employee of Nameless, so I have to pick at least one of their teams here to do well in VAS. So Nameless Asylum, even though I think they have the ugliest recoloring of the Nameless logo, are a pretty decent team. I'd expect to see them do all right.
Heard that. Well, we have our pre-season predictions ready, but now we have to get to the match at hand, which is Who Shot Me versus our current reigning champion, CB Dragons. Quickly, give me the predictions. We already said it in chat, but give it to the rest of the world to see for tonight's game.
2-0 CB Dragons.
Ooh, the 2-0.
Yes,
Two
yes.
things have changed, and this will also be a 2-0.
Yeah, we're feeling it. 2-0s all across the desk. CB Dragons, can they stop in their debut or in their return back to the Rift, or will Who Shot Me make a wonderful debut and take down our reigning champions? We're gonna throw it to a break, and when we get back, we're gonna get into game number 1 of week number 1 of VAS. I'm super hyped. We'll send it to a break, and we'll be right back. I
All right, here we are. We are ready to go. The draft has already started, but I can't see it quite yet because I need the draft link. I joined the lobby a little bit late, so Keppa, walk us through everything that's happening while I wait to get my hands on that. Okay, here we go. We have it. Kebbo, are you here with me, sir? Do we have the desk assembled?
I see.
There we go.
I've been talking
All right.
about things for a long time now, and we banned out 3 junglers, and we still got Wukong coming through for CBD here for that first pick.
The more things change, the more they stay the same here, Kevbo. It might be a whole new split, but that's not going to see the end of first pick Wukong, even though it's seen some less effectiveness against the likes of, you know, the Poppies and the Trundles in pro play. Definitely still in the gold elo bracket. So easy to execute, offers so much team fighting power. Definitely worth the first pick priority here. But that's going to be the immediately Seraphine Kindred lock-in here. And to me, Kevbo, that signals that it's going to be the Seraphine 80 carry.
Yeah, could be for sure. Seraphine 80 carry going to possibly come through here. Kindred, a pick we haven't really seen. And we got Yuumi Zeri, everyone's favorite bot lane, coming through for CBD here. Definitely super high pick ban rate on both of those champions in competitive right now. As we are going to continue seeing this really aggressive 80 carry style that has been kind of prevalent towards the end of this professional split, I should say. Yeah. But it looks like it will instead be that Draven going to be coming through. I wouldn't be surprised to see, however, a possible Seraphine mid.
Yeah, that makes the most sense at this point. You want to pair up something aggro with the Draven. If you're trying to snowball off of this Zeri before it gets too late, before the scaling comes in, and you become a highlight reel for a pentakill, definitely going to be in your best interest to pair up Draven with something like the Pike or the Nautilus that can just roll face over the cat and the green-haired girl. But the bans that are coming through right now, a little bit support-focused, jungle flex possibility with the Amumu coming through. I mean, you'd have to assume with the Kindred being here, that's a support Amumu ban. That's another hard engager. And then Who Shot Me? Really don't want to see anything too big coming out of the top lane, anything too immovable, getting rid of some of these tanks.
Yeah, for sure, and that's really what CBD are going to be looking for here. I think to round out their draft, I imagine we are going to see Nagini trying to get a counter pick as much as possible. Of course, Nagini was our finals MVP, back again with CP Dragons here. Really strong player. You have to be very scared of any possible pop-off coming through for them. As we get ready. And
what is happening, bro?
They're drafting 80 carries, I think.
Triple marksman coming through from Who Shot Me. I mean, where is your front line? Yeah, lock that Jarvan. We saw Nagini absolutely popping off in finals. This is looking almost like a payoff angle. Check PayPal. I mean, what is this comp coming through from Who Shot Me right now? Sejuani going to be locked in here on B4. I mean, CBD has every tool they need to deal with this. The poke will be very oppressive from Who Shot Me in the early game, but I mean, even if they're massively ahead at 15 here, Kev, I just don't see how a composition constructed in this manner wins a game of League of Legends.
Yeah. Also, how do you damage a Sejuani at this point? You've locked 3 marksman 80 carries, and I was honestly kind of expecting them to just slam the LeBlanc.
They couldn't decide, but it will be Xerath coming through in the end. That's pretty hype. We love to see that long-range artillery mage come on through. Always exciting. And that nullifies a lot of WSM's only advantage, which is the range their comp does play with. Finally, they're looking towards a top laner to be sort of the glue here, but Ornn as a solo frontliner, sure, you have the long-range engage of the Ornhorn, but who's going to follow you into the thick of things once that does get pulled? I mean, these Lamb's Respites are going to have to be perfect from Who Shot Me to make these team fights possible.
Yeah, and I really don't think that it's gonna... It just feels like they outdrafted themselves, honestly. Right now, Kindred into Wukong just sounds kind of terrible, and on top of that, like I said, who damages a Sejuani? Ornn isn't going to do damage to a Sejuani, and Seraphine's going to be your only AP threat going to be coming through. So you can kind of just stack armor as Sejuani and win for free almost.
Yeah, I don't know what the thought process is here for Who Shot Me. Going to be interesting to see for sure. As yeah, I guess it's our prediction time here, Kev. Who do we think is taking home game 1 between CB Dragons and Who Shot Me here? Who has won the draft?
I think CB Dragons drafted what every pro team plays and Xerath. So, super strong picks. I expect for them to come through and win relatively handily, especially with all of the vulnerability of Who Shot Me's comp with all these 80 carry champions. Should be they definitely can get ahead early and really stomp, but it's going to be, I think, really hard for them if they don't win super hard early.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna have to give game 1 to CBD.
I'm feeling that as well, although I would love to see this ragtag assemblage of squishy ranged characters pop off in a way we didn't expect was possible and bring home the victory in game 1. I just don't think it's very likely here for Who Shot Me, although it does show a lot of confidence. To come forward and play this sort of assemblage of characters for your first game in the Victoris Amateur Series against the defending champions says, we believe that we're going to stomp you guys, we believe that we're just better than you guys, and who knows, maybe they are, maybe the pop-offs are imminent. I personally am going to align with you. I'm on CB Dragons all the way here for game number 1, but if WSM does pick up the victory, it would definitely be an exciting one for sure, as that is going to be the beginning of the client draft getting started here. So we'll see if there's any sort of flexing we can report on to be unraveled, because I mean, things look pretty straightforward, right? I guess it could be Misfortune mid and Seraphine support, but that doesn't seem very likely. No, it's going to be, what do you think, Kev? Dunkelberg? Is that the way to pronounce that?
I would assume so. Dinkelberg, I don't know.
Dvunkelberg.
Dvunkelberg. Yes.
Dvunkelberg.
Here. Yes.
Either way, it will be the mid laner of Who Shot Me who is going to be piloting that Sarah Queen here. As Boulder in chat saying he kinda likes WSM's draft. You know what? We'll see. We'll see. Maybe. We'll see what happens. I'm curious. But that sort of lets us know how everything is going to go here. There's no more flexing to be reported on. Everything bog standard coming out from the side of CB Dragons as well. Everything you would expect. It's Sejuani top, Wukong jungle, Xerath in the mid lane, and then that Zeri Yuumi in the bot lane. So with that, I do believe we will throw it to our spectator delay break here, and we will catch you guys right on the other side for game number 1 of Victoris Amateur Series Fall. It's going to be a banger that you don't want to miss. We'll be right back. All right, here we are. We have loaded onto the Rift for game number 1 of the VAS Fall Split. I'm Infinite Dodge, joined, as always, by the inconceivable Blitzcrank Master himself. It's Kevbo in the Colorcaster's chair, and we got a little bit of aggression coming out already here, Kev. That W is going to go wide, but that is going to be a Spell Thief's proc? No, First Strike. I was very confused about why Nagini got gold there. But yeah, I was starting off with some bangers already here.
Yeah, we'll have to see where these junglers do end up starting. I know that Kindred really prefers to start on that red buff, so possibly going to be a top 2 bot clear for both junglers here, as it does look like it will be Gondiopolis coming over to help out the Kindred. Been there many times before. But should be an interesting one. Nothing too crazy, I think, when it comes to the runes. A little bit surprised to see Draven go cleanse this game, considering that there's not too much crazy hard CC in lane, but of course is going to allow for a lot more survivability as the game goes on.
Yeah. We do see Rivered and Spheric there, landing their first prowling projectile onto Mr. Pickle, so going to try and even up the war of attrition that will be this bot lane a little bit, but generally we will expect the Draven Misfortune lane to get the push, and there's a nice little sweeper coming out from Mr. Pickle, dodges the projectile as well, so gets full lane control as they do get the push here, should tick level 2 first, and this poke is going to be difficult to deal with for Zari for a little while, but eventually she should be mobile enough to get out of harm's way before anything too scary happens.
Yeah, I think it is going to be a bit of a challenge for most of the game. Probably going to be seeing, now that I think about it, probably an AP MF come through. I would not at all be surprised to see that as River continues to take a significant amount of poke there. Cap Crusader just going to step forward. Misses the second part of that Q there, but thus far, just traditional laning going to be coming through. Ornn doing Ornn things.
He's unbeatable, Kevbo.
He's having a pretty good time, that's for sure, thus far in that top lane.
Yeah, it's, we always say it, Ornn is the resident bruiser, tank, mage, AD carry, assassin. He does everything, and in the early game, those brittle procs percent HP damage procs onto Kappa are going to do a whole lot of damage, but Sejuani also does percent HP damage with her passive. She's often thought of as a tank that beats tanks, and now even on the back foot, starting that trade down a significant amount of HP, using that Aftershock well, means that things will be more evened up. Both of those pots gone in the top lane as River here actually doing a pretty decent job holding up in CSs. That was the Rumble for the first mark there. CB Cooper going to have to flash on out, but did prevent that from going over for Royal. No, actually, no, it's the first mark on the top side, so flash burn to get bottom scuttle. Now you're gonna have to go contest the top one. Could be tough.
Yeah, and it will be neither jungler with smite here, so going to have to play this one fairly well. Gondiopolis already roaming down. They're really trying to make sure that this first mark does go over.
Yeah, they're bringing 3 people. I mean, Nagini's coming eventually. That is going to be the E used to knock up the clone. However, look at that beat drop going to find CB Cooper first. Blood for Royal 2. Who Shot Me coming out with a bang. They're not intimidated by the defending champs. They're picking in 3 marksmen, and they are making it look good as River going to take a big chunk as well here.
Yeah, going to get 2 marks there then, I guess, as I believe the first one almost always dropped on the opposing jungler there. So
yes, sir, that's 2 marks.
Nice and easily, add some extra attack range. As it will be Royal 2 hopping on in here and helping get some push for the Seraphine to recall. Maybe doesn't even have to waste that ever-important teleports.
Yeah, it's a little bit scary for the side of CB Dragons at this point. I gave a lot of grief to Who Shot Me for this comp, but you know, they do have winning lanes coming out, and that is important. And with 2 marks on the Kindred, they are a little bit towards their scaling fantasy, right? If they can get to that 4 mark, for lack of a better terminology there, on Royal 2, they should have a decent amount of range to sort of match the Zeri. I do still worry that in the hyper late game, they wouldn't be able to match this composition coming forward from the Dragons here, but if they can end the game around 25-30 minutes before it gets to that point, and if they can use the priority they can generate with this pushing bot lane to start stacking up these new and improved Dragons off the back of the 12-15 Dragon buff, things could go very well for them.
Yeah, I was honestly, I don't think I got to hit on it because they ended up switching their idea there, but I was really expecting, with how I know Cooper and Nagini like to play, to not see them just insta-lock that J4 and LeBlanc and just bully Dinkelberg in mid lane.
Yeah, they do like to do that.
But it will just instead be well, pretty normal trading coming back and forth from both sides. It has been a nice little CS lead in the mid lane for Nagini, already starting to form, but across the rest of the map going about as expected, with, of course, the Draven and the Misfortune having a little bit more push and a little bit more poke, but that should be resetting here soon. Cooper.
Oh, that's a bad spot for Cooper. The beat drop into the Encore, followed the clone. That's an easy pickup for Dinkelberg. And yeah, that is the 4v1 for Cooper, as bot lane was not in a position to break through the ironclad wall of the Mammoth and Mr. Pickle there. They have so much pressure with this lane. And now it should be the first Drake of the game going over as well. I mean, the wave still having to be caught under turret for the bot lane of Dragons. Nagini has plenty of range, but no backup to really approach the pit with. Although, here comes the Rite of the Arcane. That is going to be 2 of the shots landing, but with just the Lost Chapter, even with the Q following up after, not going to be enough to find Dinkelberg's life. Might force a reset, though, here, because Nagini's still full health. Ooh! Going to flash forward for the W as well. There's the E to pick it up. Nagini with the solo kill on the Dinkelberg. That's why he locked the Zareth. Now we got the tank combat coming out in the top lane. Call the Forge God into the Brittle Proc. Who's going to wind up taking this one? It's Gondiopolis just barely winning out, as the action is starting to explode all over the map. Now it's Royal 2 onto Nagini, has the mark down, going to take the Q-hop, going to not quite find the passive proc. However, man, this is an exciting one.
Yeah, walked back into it, so did end up taking the little bit of extra damage from Royal 2 there on the Kindred. But going to just continue to play this one out, and it will be Who Shot Me really in a pretty good spot for this point in the game.
Yeah, they're up about 2.5K here, so this is actually such a funny play. Mr. Pickle dropping the ultimate on him. You have no combat stats, though, Mr. Pickle, so it's not going to really do much more than tickle, but once Dinkelberg shows up, that's when things get really dicey. The zone control is just so powerful, as the turret aggro was juggled perfectly. This is Who Shot Me coming in with a bang, making such good use of this hyper-aggressive comp they pulled for themselves. They get the cash in onto Mammoth. They have Mr. Pickle continuing to land all of this poke to set things up, and they are up so big time at 9 minutes. It's going to be up to CB Dragons to really find a way to slow the pace here and allow their scaling to arrive, but that's going to be a second plate now going into the Draven's back pocket.
Yeah, just going to continue snowballing this Draven even further and further ahead. Again, with a nice combo.
Yeah, I mean, that beat drop into Encore combo for the second time now, finding a big beat of damage as Royal 2 found the Dance of Arrows forward. The last tick of the red buff going to be picking up Nagini as well. Now Cooper trying to brawl it out, does pick up the shutdown on the back half, but Royal 2 so fed now with the double kill, will be completing the Kraken Slayer at just 9 minutes here. Gets the shutdown even after dying as well, going to still be sitting on a 150 gold shutdown, so things are going absolutely aces for Who Shot Me right now. I mean, this is exactly how you draw it up. You made a gamble on a less than standard composition, and they are really delivering. It's going gangbusters for them right now.
Yeah, Kindred already at that 4 mark point, just going to get even stronger and stronger here. Whereas, like we said, Cooper with a nice little shutdown there, but not going to mean too much in the long run, I don't think. Um, and I think it really is going to come down to these neutral objectives and how they do end up fighting around those, as Gondiopolis is just executing so well.
Yeah, Kappa did dodge out on the Call of the Forge God, but he can't dodge out on the Flash auto attack. But here comes Rivered, looking for a moment along the Spheric to try and find something, but trapped in the midst of the cannon barrage, and now going to have to kite it on out, but you can't kite away from the Whirling Death as CB Cooper has run out of allies. He's run out of ways to try and pressure these 4 gathered members. The Yumi cannot get to him. The cat cannot hop on the monkey. Is that right of the Arcane going to find some damage from Nagini? Really the only member who's weathering the storm here for CB Dragon so far in the early game. Everybody else having a tough time. And this is a statement and a half coming out from Who Shot Me. They're up 5K at 11 minutes. They picked this absolutely ridiculous composition against the defending champions and say, we're just going to smash you in the early game. It's not going to get to the 5v5s later. You're not going to have a chance against us. And now it's up to Cooper to try and find some sort of momentum back, but that Make It Rain is going to slow him right up. Does have the Cyclone, though, into the Ultra Shock Laser. That's the shutdown onto the Mammoth. Going to be real nice for River finally on the board on this Sari.
Yeah, and getting that Zeri scaling up quicker is going to mean a lot for them, as it will be the Essence Raper already completed for the Mammoth there. Still looking pretty rough. Like you said, a huge gold lead already for Who Shot Me in this game. They almost got away with the really Who Shot Me comp.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. There's still plenty of time for Who Shot Me to continue this snowball down the hill and win out. I mean, you look at this top side, and it's absolutely massive. The Ornn is going to have such a good time being this far ahead. I mean, he's up 25 CS. He's going to be able to solo frontline for quite a while in this game, set up more of those bullet times from Mr. Pickle over the top of the Wombo. Royal 2 can live forever. And I mean, you had already pointed out the 4 mark point came in already for Royal 2. You're looking for that. Hopefully, a lot of the times with Kindred, you're like, if I can get to 4 marks at 20 minutes, I'm in a good spot. That means I'm on pace. To have 4 marks at 10 minutes means that it's all bonus stats from here on out. So it's going to be that threshold well and truly already met for Royal 2. Everything else will be gravy, as we see Gondiopolis continuing not to give Kappa any breaks up here in the top lane. He's been absolutely dominating this tank v tank matchup, has the 2-level lead right now.
Yeah, and River continuing to just take an insane amount of poke there from the Misfortune. Dragon going to go back and forth, and I really don't think as CBD that you can contest this all that well.
Yeah, they do have the Cyclone coming back very soon. Should be off cooldown in about 10 seconds here, so that is a big team-fighting ultimate. And again, he's been very on point with the Rite of the Arcanes as well. And that's a nice little fake-out. Looked like it was going to be going for Dunkelberg with that Q, but instead does find the opposing jungler. The chunks coming out. The Luden's completed as well, means Nagini's getting stronger and stronger. But look at how fast this Hextech Drake goes down. There's not even a chance to get in and contest it. Now that's the bullet time over CB Cooper. River came over the wall. The final chapter coming out. It looked like a bit of a split call, and now the Encore is going to find the jungler. Here comes the Rite of the Arcane. Can they pick off Mr. Pickle? No, nothing. Connects Spheric. Going to hop over onto Nagini. The stun comes through, but 2 dropping for CB Dragons, as it seemed like they couldn't decide whether they wanted to commit or not, and in the end, that team fight winds up being a disaster for them.
Yeah, it's definitely not what you want to see for the side of CBD here. And Kindred up on the map by themselves will probably just walk it on over and take yet another mark for themselves here.
6 marks. This is getting like to the point of no return here for CB Dragons. I mean, they had to weather the storm in the early game, and they just could not do it whatsoever. Thankfully, it looks like will give up on the mark on the blue buff just to come and kill the Sejuani once again. You know, small concession going to come through as the Glacial Prison not going to be enough to escort Crusader's exit. Going to fall in the end is now Spheric caught out, and in this episode of Supportal Combat, I don't think the cat comes out on top. Thankfully, can use those zoomies to just hop on out of danger, but with 2 Drakes built up in their lead here, 7k gold for the side of Who Shot Me. They are in a commanding position right now.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard to work your way back into this one. They're really just going to have to look to see if Nagini can do some serious carrying here. Going to be outputting a decent amount of damage, has still been farming fairly well. But of all people, it's Ornn, topside, most CS in the game, going to be
Yeah.
coming through here.
Completely uncontested, it felt like, in laning phase. We saw one decent trade for Kappa before getting solo killed a couple of times, and then Royal kind of just coming up and sealing the lid on that lane, as things really do fall into the lap of Rivered on this Zeri to find some certified Zeri moments in the late game. Going to be eating a little bit of a nerf on 12-16 as well. Tapped down a little bit because of the pro presence, so we'll see if those certified Zeri Yumi moments do still exist. Maybe it's CB Dragons forgetting the fact we're playing on a new patch and just opting towards some old school comfort, but there's the big wombo coming through, and they're going to find two. They get Mr. Pickle, and they get Dunkelberg. That is exactly the injection of life CB Dragons needed here, and they lined it up perfectly.
Yeah, it looks like, ooh, nope, Ornn's here, not going to be contesting that one.
Yeah, but he doesn't find the knock-up. The Whirling Death might just find the kills. However, that W going to apply the Brittle, but here comes Nagini through the river. He has the Scuttle Relic to find the movement speed, but the stun doesn't connect, so Royal's going to chase him down. He's going to force the flash. He's going to flash after. Here comes the Hail of Arrows. Here comes the press the attack. Here comes the big damage from the Kindred, but the Prowling Projectile going to slow him off. Cooper now on top of him, but the Q is going to go wide, and Gandhi is still full health. He is here to frontline. He is here to win this fight for his team, as Royal's so low, but they just can't get to him. Rivered, the last man standing, now has to take that E over the wall. It looked good until it didn't for CB Dragons. They just haven't seemed as on the same page here in their first game of the fall split as they did in that championship campaign, and now it might be Rivered who does fall. They have him pinched, but here comes Kappa around the back, going to bring down that Glacial Prison, going to feed it over to Rivered. That's exactly where you want it now. The E once again over the wall, but can Royal chase him? Takes that hop. The Hail of Arrow is going to find him in the correct spot. With the red buff will find the slows, and that's going to be the perfect bullet time to dissuade any sort of attempt at killing Royal. The Lamb's Respite comes down, and Kappa can't escape it. I mean, this is a stomp coming on through for Who Shot Me right now.
Yeah, and they are continuing to just snowball that lead ahead, and you get to the point now where even with this Sejuani, they're just going to be building pretty much straight tank, is not going to be able to really survive just because of how fed the side of Who Shot Me is.
I mean, this Kindred has 8 marks. That's 8% missing health damage on the W, right? So now you're finding an execute off your W. That's something like 125 bonus range. It's a bunch of bonus AD coming through for Royal 2 right now. This Kindred was it worried me when I saw it come through, but you know, these are new faces to the league here, and Who Shot Me have shown up to play. They are asserting themselves as a threat, and maybe as one of our best teams right off the bat. I mean, if you can pick something so volatile with full confidence that you are going to just win through lane before the team fighting becomes an issue, that definitely makes you a big threat here. I mean, it's nearly the 10k gold lead before the 20-minute mark. And with their Soul Point Drake now coming up, CB feels very pressured to contest, but this call of the Forge God could just set up such a huge wombo with the Encores. Dunkelberg has been so on point on finding these charms. At that point, it could just be game over for CB. They have to be so careful here.
Yeah, they have so much zone control coming through here with Ornn.
Yeah, and that's just the wombo we were talking about. The call of the Forge God into the bullet time. Into the Encore means everybody's gone. I mean, CB Dragons have a wombo of their own that they tried to pull off. They're just so far behind. There's no chance in these fights. That's going to be the Soul Point Drake picked up for Who Shot Me, and this Baron will be up in just 50 seconds. You have to feel that's theirs to collect any time they want it. And something that's really crazy here, Kebbo, that certainly makes things worse for the side of CB is since the end of the summer split, Riot has made a baffling change to allow Leandries to be stacked now. So you can pick Misfortune Support along with a Damage Therapy in the same game, and it only gets stronger. It will only shred this Wukong and Sejuani more. I mean, this game is all but over at this point.
Yeah, unless they start running it down one by one, I really don't think that there are too many opportunities back into the game for CB Dragons here, which is, you know, a surprising turn of events. They were a team that was quite cohesive, it seemed. Had a lot of good plays. But like I said, I mean they should. I think it was River we had on the desk talking about how much Blossom did as a shot caller. Losing that member seems to have done quite a significant amount of damage to their team cohesion.
Yeah, it's just seemed so split, the calls. I feel like there were moments where they could have pulled this game back, where they had a couple of picks that could have led into a numbers advantage team fight to buy them time and give them time to scale back into this game. But I especially think about that second Drake fight where they showed up too late to contest the Drake, and then they all went over the wall and decided to fight in a disadvantaged state anyway. It reeks of a lack of cohesion, like you say. And you know what? It is the beginning of a new split. You're bringing in some new members. It's going to take time for that cohesion to arrive, but definitely not the foot you want to get started off on as the defending champions here.
Yeah, and it looks like they are just going to walk in this lane top and probably look for a Baron here off of this push. Going to be having a Dinkelberg in the mid lane, pushing that lane in as well. And Oran's Ornaments already here.
Yeah, this is the last stand, last chance saloon coming on through. CB Cooper's clone is the only one that's going to die so far. The Lost Chapter going to find Gandhi, but they just can't do any damage. It doesn't mean anything. You just fall apart like tissue paper in a rainstorm. Cooper going to be kept alive only by the charity of the Lamb's Respite for a little while, as Kappa Crusader completely out of health, going to have to pull it back. Once again, Nagini desperately trying to do whatever they can to get some damage out, to get some effectiveness in these fights. But it's just worse and worse as time goes on at this point for CB Dragons. They well and truly missed the window as Mr. Pickle single-handedly zoning away Nagini here, who's out of mana anyway. Even if he can find one pick, I don't think he's going to be able to contest the Baron. No ultimate. Yeah, not even going to land any poke. That's Nasher going on over, and that's Gandhi with the aggressive flash, because why not at this point? It's a guaranteed W coming on through. You might as well play with some swagger. You might as well play with some style. You might as well feed some more kills to the Mammoth on the Draven as he chases Rivered under turret. Not going to overextend, though. Not going to give over any shutdowns to the Zeri. Still not a realm you want to find yourself in, even with a 16k gold lead that they have accumulated. There are some things you just don't want to do. Instead, they'll bring the TP in, they'll crack this tier 2, and the nightmare goes from worse to incomparable for CB Dragons.
Yeah, I mean, almost a 20k gold lead at this point for them coming through here. It looks like just so far ahead. I'm shocked. Honestly, I did not like their draft at all. Coming in from Who Shot Me from the very beginning. But like you said, it has really just been their prowess in lane, and especially Royal 2 on this Kindred here. Very competent on the pick, has been able to get those stacks really early, and they've really made our returning champions look like they didn't deserve it.
Yeah, I mean, this was a composition that was either going to go really right or really wrong, with no in-between here for Who Shot Me, and they rolled those dice in the first game of the season, and they came up all sixes. It's a nice sight to see, though. You know, this sort of aligns our expectations. We were talking about how there's so many new rosters here in VAS to begin the fall split, how there's so much roster turnover that it gets a little bit overwhelming. We don't know where to look or who to expect to do well. Who Shot Me immediately out of the gate, coming out as a very strong contender, establishing themselves as a team to keep an eye on. Definitely going to be fun to follow their progress over the course of the split, as CB, they're just so zoned out. I mean, they have to try and take this Soul Drake away, but I don't think they have any hopes of approaching here. And there's nothing for them to cross-map either. That Baron is gone. That buff was scooped up, and they know they can't come in. Instead, they're just going to have to try and turtle.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to be coming through here, and the amount of zone control and push that they have should mean that they will be able to walk this minion wave in. I expect probably get at least a tower here, but we'll have to wait and see whether or not they can manage that. Of course, do have still a lot of good teamfight ult on the side of CB Dragons with Cooper there on the Cyclone. And of
But he
course,
can't even approach Kev. He tried, and Draven just said, no, I throw my E at you. Be gone, monkey. As Cooper will indeed be gone. The Collector collects him off the back of the burn. And now it's the dive onto the Tier 3. Royal 2 just living, but just living is more than enough when you have this kind of a lead. It's Kappa Crusader flashing into the Nexus turrets. It's the inhibs in the sights of Who Shot Me. And it is the game as well, soon to be in their targets. They are locked up. They are moving forward. There is nothing that can stop them. This Poro Rider can do what she can try, but it's not going to be enough. It's not going to be anything at all in the face of the storm that is our newcomers Who Shot Me taking game 1 here of VAS Fall, and they did it in dominant style.
yeah, a very, very dominant and absolute statement coming from Who Shot Me here. Lots of names to talk about. I don't know. It's hard to say who wins like the game 1 MVP if we did that, because every single member just absolutely popped off in that game.
For me, it has to go to Royal on the Kindred. I mean, that's the dream Kindred scenario. That is there's no better way to pilot that champion, in my opinion, than Royal wound up doing in this game 1 here. 14k damage coming on through. I mean, just mark on mark on mark, always in the right spot in the right time. And Dunkelberg, I think, as well, should get a lot of credit, even when the priority wasn't necessarily there in lane because they were getting poked out or they were getting out-shoved. They were still just sacking their lane to roam, and I feel like that's what really made the difference in some of those early skirmishes and created such a lead for Royal and the bot lane as well. I especially think of Cooper getting caught out a couple of times by those beat drops and the pain that ensued for them, and definitely a big old spotlight on the mid jungle here for Who Shot Me.
Yeah, absolutely. We will, however, have to catch that on the other side of a short break. We're going to be throwing it to break and should be getting into game 2 very shortly. Don't go anywhere.
Why fall flat? When talented freelance animators can give your product an extra dimension. Get your 3.
All right, here we are into draft 4, game number 2. Who Shot Me coming out with an explosion, Kevbo, in their first game here in the VAS. Absolutely mopping up the floor with our defending champions.
Yeah, and it is going to be CBD instead. Deciding to go towards the red side of the draft this time. I wonder why. Maybe going to be seeing a Nagini flex or a Nagini counterpick as CBD going to give away the Sivir in the first rotation.
Yeah,
We'll see
it'd
what
be
they do decide.
interesting if they don't pick Zeri here, right? Because, like, this is the trade-off we always see. It's Sivir for Zeri. Well, either they both get banned or they both get picked, but instead it's going to be Callista Jarvan coming out from CB Dragons in response. This is interesting. This is a little bit more comfort, I feel like, for Cooper than the Wukong was.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is a little more comfortable, but I think at the same time, if you're on the side of Who Shot Me, there is an opportunity to counter exactly what they're going for. They saw in the last game, did CB Dragons a lot of aggression. I would not at all be surprised this time to see Who Shot Me go for a more traditional bot-centric focused comp. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Enchanter paired up with Sivir and just allow J4 and Callista to try and go in, but be countered. Galio looking kind of spicy into both of those champions, but
This is disgusting. Who Shot Me pulling out the Malzahar? Come on, they have families, bro. This is the crown treatment coming on through. I mean, first of all, they pick off the Diana, who's did again get a little bit of a nerf on 12-16, kind of, to try and steer her away from the Sunfire build. But this is Who Shot Me completely pivoting away from what they did in game 1, which was like all winning lanes, early aggro. Now they're the ones who are going to weather the storm. They are so going to outscale in the jungle position with this hyper farming Diana. Probably going to go towards that Nashor's Tooth Sunfire build and just absolutely decimate neutral objectives. CB Dragons picking up a control mage of their own here to try and match the Malzahar, but man, oh man, I don't envy anybody who has to try and deal with that champion post 20 minutes. He is really, really hard to deal with.
Yeah, they are going to pick themselves up. That Victor, though, no matter how far it falls, it will never leave us.
No,
going
not
to stay
in VAS.
Not in VAS, for sure. Going to continue to be a very strong pick in that mid lane. What are we looking for both teams here as we get later into this draft? I know both are probably going to be looking for a top laner here.
Yeah, it's not the same focus we saw on top in the game 1 draft. If I was CB Dragons, I would definitely want to get away from that tank versus tank matchup again, because it looks like Who Shot Me and Gandhi in the top lane in particular have a little bit more of a handle on how that one goes. Maybe look for some sort of advantageous counter pick with R5 here, save your top lane pick, and instead blind support. It's not like you're going to get a whole lot of value out of a support counter pick. Anyway, they already have lots of engage with the Jarvans, so I'm not sure. Normally you want an engage support with Callista, but Renata is also a very good support with Callista, even though she doesn't really function the same way as something a little bit tankier like a Leona or a Not. I wouldn't be surprised to see Renata R4 here into counterpick on R5.
I also wouldn't mind, I don't think, an Alistar here. For CBD, I think it would be really good with the Callista, a nice pairing. The Amumu instead, probably going to come through a very strong pick. Really easy to land your Curse of the Sad Mummy when Callista is just going to throw you into the middle of everyone.
Yeah, I think an issue, and we've been seeing this in Pro as Amumu has been rearing his head in the support role again recently in Pro, is that support Amumu just doesn't really do damage. And normally you might say, well, dodge, Amumu's a tank, he doesn't need to do damage. The thing is, as that's a brilliant counter pick coming through from Who Shot Me. I mean, Tarek is such a good anti-engage champion into the safe blind with the Aatrox. Very hard to counter out here. I mean, stock standard stuff coming through from Who Shot Me. A very, very nice draft, and CBD basically saying, yeah, we don't have anything in our top lane wheelhouse that can hard counter Aatrox because it's very difficult, so we will also opt into a tank utility top laner, pick up the Gragas here for themselves. But we've seen with jungle Mumus in the past, to finish my previous point, like the Sunfire into Demonic build, and yes, you are tanky, but your Curse of the Sad Mummy will nuke at that point, and you'll do a lot of passive magic damage with your Tears, with your Sunfire passive, and unfortunately the Mumu just feels really low impact for me right now, unless you can keep a non-stop CC chain going with both bandage tosses landing into your Curse with follow-up. It requires a lot of cohesion, which we didn't see CB Dragons really exhibit in game 1, and it sort of requires the snowball to move forward, and Tarek is such a wise way to keep that snowball from forming in the first place in the bot lane in the early game.
Yeah. CBD trying to flip the script, trying to be really aggro here, and getting countered. Didn't end up being the Galio support that I was maybe looking for, but Tarek, probably a better answer, if I'm being honest. Definitely not something that's in my wheelhouse. Take notes.
Oh,
Also,
Tarek is so fun, bro.
in the little bit of research I did manage to do, Aatrox was something that was on the list for Who Shot Me's top laner that looked like something they were very proficient on. So I wouldn't at all be surprised after going deathless in the last game for them to have another pop-off performance on the Aatrox. Going to be interesting to see what impact the junglers can have, of course. Like you said, Cooper, very competent, very strong on this J4. But I think CBD's comp is quite reliant on team fighting.
Yeah.
Whereas Who Shot Me, they have ways that they can play around the map and but split neutral objectives. I think still come out on top. Definitely going to scale very well into the late game. But honestly, especially after the performance in the last game, I really think I'm favoring a Who Shot Me in the second game.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you on that one, Kevbo. I really like, much more so than game one, which wound up working out well, but it was very volatile. I think the entire thought process behind this draft for Who Shot Me is very clean, especially those final picks to round it out. The Tarek is a brilliant counter into the Callista and the Mumu lane, and then you buy yourself a lot of safety for Gandhi on the Aatrox, to the point where CB Dragons basically didn't have an answer in terms of a hard counter, had to opt into, you know, these double sort of scaling picks. Yeah, I don't think Gragas is going to have a whole lot of effectiveness outside of the team fights, so it just feels like CB, they have the victor, but Malzahar's such a good champion at just neutralizing and buying time and buying space, because you don't have to approach the wave, you don't really have to interact, you just sit back, and if you can make it to your first reset and get your lost chapter, you can EW to your heart's content, bounce the wave, stay safe with your spell shield in the short lane, and then just set up picks with your Nether Grasp, and it's GG at that point. It really feels like there's very few angles for Who Shot Me to actually get attacked in this draft before they outscale CB Dragons, so I'm excited to see what they do on blue side here with this draft they have built for themselves, but that will of course come on the other side of a short break, so stay right where you are. We got game number 2 of our opening series of the VAS Fall Split coming at you right after this.
Vengeance is at hand.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift. Seconds until minions spawn.
All right, everyone, we are live, ready, and raring to go here in game number 2. And Kevbo, we've got a little bit of a 5-man stack coming out. This is an interesting one, that bottom lane tri-brush. Normally you see teams like push forward through the lane brushes, right, to try and get a deep ward onto the opposing bot lane brush, right, to secure priority level 1, but it almost felt like Who Shot Me had a little bit of an idea that there was going to be a late invade coming through.
Yeah, I don't know if it was that or if they were maybe expecting an early Mumu invade. Does have a lot of CC at level 1 with the bandage toss. Will instead be just them going into a pretty normal laning phase, as it will be both junglers yet again starting on this top side, looking to make an impact early onto that bot side of the map. And pretty straightforward, I think. Nothing that I'm seeing in runes that are too surprising. Maybe a little bit to see the first strike on the Gragas top. I think maybe especially in this game where you maybe want to be a little bit more tanky instead of going towards the full AP build. But should be no problem either way. Going to be really looking to see how much work that Spheric and River can get done here on the bot side. Of course, Callista, much like Draven, really wants to have an impact early, or you're going to have a hard time later.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of an impact already coming through. Mr. Pickle preemptively trying to get that E out. Not necessarily how you want to play that in that lane position, right? Because if you just let the bandage toss hit, you get the guaranteed stun, and you get way more time. But that way the bandage toss was buffered through the stun, so kind of gave more effective uptime on the CCs for Spheric. But Mr. Pickle will get the rhythm down. It was the level 2 being taken first, and now they're going for the proactive stuns even. But River getting some nice time to free fire onto Mammoth, get some spears in there to Ren. But now the turnaround coming through. Cooper was waiting in the wings, but where the wave was really couldn't come and help. So the trade going to go into the favor. Well, now it's a little bit evened up with the flag, with a little bit of a poke on the drag. I would say still the trade, though, going in the favor of Who Shot Me. The only scary thing is this wave is here, but it doesn't look like they're going to dive because Malzahar expended all of his mana to push and come and back up the play.
Yeah, and is definitely being much more proactive on the map than Nagini has been there for pretty much all of the plays thus far. But still not too surprising, as we actually might see Diana going to look to maybe get a bit of a invade onto the Gromp there, but Cooper going to take that one no problem.
Yeah, and one thing that is a little bit surprising to me is Cooper not that far behind here, the Diana, in terms of the camps. Still has to take the Krugs, but managed to keep pace with the Diana because of the lane minions that were taxed. And the one big advantage Diana has right now is hyper farming. You know, she could get invaded on early. She's not going to be as useful in a gank or a 3v3 skirmish early. But Cooper made his second appearance in the bot lane now already, as the flag and drag doesn't connect. The spell shield's not going to do anything this time, as the first blood going on over to the bot lane of the Dragons, as Royal is here to keep them from chasing down his support. But that is still a huge pickup. Unfortunately, it does go over to Spheric.
Yeah, Cooper getting some work done on this comfort pick here. Going to go with a repeat gank and pick that one up quite easily right now, though. Nagini struggling a little bit in the mid lane, farm is even, but definitely a little bit low in the mana department there.
Does take a whole lot to outshove a Malzahar, unfortunately. Does have the TP, though, which Dunkelberg has already expended, so can take the reset at whatever time, but risks losing a plate now that we're past 5 minutes. Those early turret protections are gone. Malzahar does push quite effectively with all those little voidlings, as we see. Gandhi and Kappa didn't go so well for Kappa last time when they decided to scrap a lot of the time up in that top lane. Maybe on the Gragas it'll be a bit of a different story, as we do see Royal coming up. That ward was pinked out, but the ping's still there. They had a pretty good idea of when Royal was coming, so going to be a nice back off for Kappa. Not going to overextend. And something I got to point out here, Kevbo, which is absolutely tickling me, is Cooper is playing Championship Jarvan, which is like the super slick, beautiful, modern skin. And then you got Kappa flapping all about on his flippers with the Scuba Gragas. It's a great contrast as we see the flash bandage toss brings Cooper around, but it was a great stun coming through from Pickle to at least save his 80 carry. Doesn't get out himself, but delays the charge, so to speak, on that fight. And now Dunkelberg's here, is looking for something with the 6, has the Nether Grasp, but can't really run through this minion wave. Will just get absolutely eviscerated and be an easy target to be turned on, even with that spell shield. So, once again, an unanswered kill in the bot lane, and the script feels well and truly flipped in this one.
Yeah, hopefully we can see a just a sizable lead coming in as Gandhi.
Yeah, that was not the explosive cast Kappa 1. Now he's out of mana, is going to be forced to use the flash, as that's going to be the knockup coming through, but the second one doesn't quite follow just enough for that body slam to get on out of dodge, and now the gravity well going to zone off Gandhi from any further chasing. But that wave's in a pretty perilous spot for Kappa. That could be held frozen for a good long while for Gandhi.
Absolutely. And I think that is kind of what happened the last time Kappa was really looking to get a push in all the way to that tower. And Gandhi on the Ornn did a very good job of freezing it right in front of their own tower. And would not at all be surprised to see this CS lead in the top side continue to grow for them yet again.
Yeah, now we do see a little bit of a focus back down on this bot lane, and I think importantly it's Spheric with the early Kindle Gem. That says to me it's going to be a Locket coming out first for them. We've seen some interesting tech. We've seen Zanya's rush Amumu support. I saw it in LJL this morning. I saw Sven playing it in LCS playoffs. Doesn't look like that's the way Spheric wants to go. Isn't interested in a little bit of AP to increase the fortitude of the damage or the stasis to stay alive a little bit longer in the fights. Instead going to be playing that well and truly supportive style, keep his carries alive. As we see Kappa expending cooldowns here, wave state finally broken, back to a neutral position, but he had to TP up to get that wave that way, as now Dunkelberg is here with the flash into the Q Nether Grasp. That's going to set up the CC chain. The flash now forced from Kappa. Gandhi should be able to shove this out and take a reset at his leisure, still have TP to join for any potential fight. But in the meanwhile, Cooper has snuck onto this dragon here.
Yeah, Cooper doing a very good job of continuing to push their advantage, but it is going to be that Diana going to be walking into the river here. They've spotted this out.
Yeah, the priority was from the bot lane of Who Shot Me. Mr. Pickle charging forward recklessly with no backup as Nagini has gotten all the way behind. It's a fight on two fronts as the steal does come through, but the Cataclysm will prevent the Moonfall from doing anything at all. That's the double kill coming through for the Kalista. 3-0 now is Rivered in the pop-off era for sure, as this is so scary for Gandhi. He's yet to take a reset. He just does no damage. He pops the World Ender, but that's the explosive cast backwards. Kappa should have more than enough. No! He doesn't have the tools to get out when he just gets flash Q3'd on like that. Absolutely popped out. I thought he had more than enough time to kite out any which way he wanted with the body slam, but the killer instinct from Gandhi to just snap on top of him means that finally a kill will be answered for Who Shot Me.
Yeah, absolutely. That is going to come through, and it is yet again Gandhi garnering advantages for their team in a solo lane, putting in a lot of work here. Would not at all be surprised to see that Aatrox continue to push an advantage and maybe allow for a Rift Herald take here in the next 5 or so minutes right before that drag would be pretty optimal for either team. Nagini going to stop that back there though, and we will be slowing down just a little bit, I think, before this
Yeah.
next objective.
With that dragon off the map, not a lot of reason for the side of CB to play through their strong bot lane right now. Just going to leave River to catch some waves, try and push for some plates. Things not working out as well as I'd hoped for this bot lane coming through from Who Shot Me. I expected between Sivir's Spell Shield and all of the peel that Taric offers that they would be much more resilient to the repeated ganks that Cooper did shove their way, but in the end, CB Dragons did make it work, and it's gone off without a hitch for River to be very big right now. But Spheric looking for the roam all the way up the top lane, now going to be found out in the enemy jungle, can't find that bandage toss to hit Dunkelberg, now going to be silenced, but look at all that damage coming through onto Royal. He's so behind, and he is just going to fall as Gandhi shows up a little too late. And now Dunkelberg is getting roamed on by Rivard all the way up into the opposing topside jungle. Look at all those red stacks! CB Dragons bringing the bot lane around the Herald pit all the way up. Nagini covering the turret as well to keep the Mammoth from getting access to any of these plates either. Might even just find the solo kill as the flash is forced, as well as the ultimate just to get out of that gravity, while CB Dragons, I think they took that game one a tad bit personally.
Yeah. Gandhi still, though, doing a lot of work here on this Aatrox. Going to back off. And it will be instead CB forcing their advantage and looking to take this Rift Herald. However,
we
got
have a fight going down. Cooper gonna get Moonfall, does flag and drag out, and will collect the Eye of the Herald. So Royal only 1 for 2, only batting 500 on the objective steals. Couldn't get in to steal the Herald, but does get out with their life despite trying. So in the end, you take those as you weren't kidding about Gandhi, by the way, still continuing to garner up individual advantages, has that 2-level lead. What I find unfortunate is it is the Gore Drinker being built here, so not really leveraging that lead towards an Eclipse, towards those in-lane advantages that we've seen a lot of Aatroxes opt towards recently, instead going for more of that team fight style, and when the other carries on your team haven't really been enabled as of yet, and you need to bridge to get to your scaling, I feel like you need to force whatever advantages you can, especially when you're gapping top lane again for the second game in a row, and you're really the only hope for your team. I would have liked to see just a little bit more aggressive confidence coming out from Gandhi.
Spheric has been fully unlocked, though it would seem, roaming a lot here. That ward is going to spot out Mr. Pickle as well. Going to go ahead and clear that one out, and it will just be both of these teams fighting over the wave state in mid and bot.
Goodbye, Royal. That is just going to be the kill coming on through. You were in the wrong place at the wrong time. You got bandaged up, and that should be all the setup that is needed to take this Drake that is about to spawn. The Herald as well, just going to be the icing on top of the cake. The Spell Shield pop. That's another grasp under turret. That's what happens when you try and dive the Spell Shield, but no harm, no foul, because Spheric still had the flash, gets out on just a sliver, not even close. And that's just going to be the tier 1 going down as well. This is such an inversion of game 1. I'm starting to feel like the caster curse extraordinaire, because both games, I say, yeah, I really prefer one of these drafts to the other, and both games, the draft I prefer is just getting absolutely slammed here.
Maybe we're just bad at drafting, Dodge.
Maybe, man, maybe.
As it will be this second dragon started here, going to be this Infernal Drag, as maybe Royal going to look to contest this one as well. I don't believe has flash.
Yeah, that's the Ren Smite. Just means the steal can never come through, but it is Gandhi forcing the flash out of Cooper. Royal finding the big multi-man move off the Dazzling Gleam as well, coming through from Mr. Pickle. The Cosmic Radiance to keep everybody alive finally to get the team fight that they want, but the kills still piling on up. River continues to live with the Triumph, with the shield bow. Even sidesteps the Q from Dunkelberg near the end there to leave Nagini still here, but now the Q is back available over the wall with the dash. Gandhi going to lock up. That is a 4 for 4 coming through. What a wild fight. The gold lead obviously stays in the advantage of the side of CB Dragons, though, because Kappa Crusader did manage to pick up some waves there, deny some waves while all this was happening, and they go even in terms of the kill score, but a nice little boon, I feel like, for WSM.
Yeah, and it is going to be Gandhi, the one paying dividends for who shot me here. I'm going to be taking a lot of damage from Kappa Crusader there, but at the same time did get a couple of shutdowns there as well. Hopefully going to be getting some help here and get a reset off in the near future.
Yeah, Kappa, though, finally finding the effectiveness in the 1v1s, fighting with the wave as well means so much, but when Royal comes to back it up, that doesn't really make a difference. That's a nice cask to split the difference, but now it's time for WSM support to roam all the way up to top lane. Run, fat man, run. Where can you go? Where can you waddle? Kappa Crusader really juking him out for quite a long time, but in the end, he will fall. Just really nowhere to go, but buys some time, I suppose, as Nagini does take advantage of that tempo to actually shove in onto the Mammoth and really get a lot of damage down with that Chaos Storm. Doesn't have the flash, but will have the laser to pick up the kill. Nagini doing what he couldn't in game one and leveraging his mid lane leads to really carry this game.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a reason that CB Dragons are going to almost always prefer that red side, and it is because of that counter pick.
As that's a nice setup for the Curse of the Sad Mummy into the Cataclysm. Royal once again lands a Moonfall that merely tickles as those Ren stacks being built up just for fun. It feels like now it's going to be the pull back, but this could be Gandhi going huge. He is really the through line right now for WSM as he picks up another 2 kills. Their sole survivor, so to speak, in terms of keeping this game somewhat competitive. And that's what's really made the difference between what was a complete stomp for WSM last game and a more measured stomp this time. I believe it was about 8k the lead for WSM in last game at about the 16-minute mark, only 5k here for CB Dragons. Not to understate that, that's still a heck of a lead, but not quite as dominant as their opponents were in game one.
Yeah, and they really do have to, I think, focus down some of these threats. And that's just the sad truth of it, is that there are just so many threats from the side of who shot me for them to focus. If they are able to continue getting ahead, Gandhi just outputting so much damage there. Going to be staying alive even longer, especially with that Gore Drinker coming through. Royal.
Yeah, he's looking for something. Spheric, though, doesn't have the Curse of the Sad Mummies, so doesn't want to opt into that engagement. And yeah, I mean, this Aatrox is, he's holding the line. You know, he's making his heroic stand. He's staring down an opposing army that is CB Dragons right now and trying to keep his team in it. I mean, that's an 8-2 Callista with 2 complete items. These team fights will go to hell in a handbasket much quicker than you could be able to recover them. You need to buy more time for Mammoth to scale up. Does have that Kraken Slayer completed, should be going towards that Phantom Dancer next to really up that team fight DPS and then cap that off with the Infinity Edge, but it's going to take a while to get there. You're going to have to continue finding whatever little picks and leads you can, splitting whatever you can on the map, and it might start around this Rift Herald.
Yeah, and while they do have a lot of CC and a lot of lockdown for CBD here, you do have to be very careful playing around that Tarek that can make all of these members invulnerable, but we are going to be seeing a Rift Herald fight coming through here.
Yeah, as Mr. Pickle gets engaged on, but that's the Cosmic Radiance just way too late. It's a great anti-dive tool, but you need to have it primed for when the dive actually arrives. It will be Royal and the Mammoth actually getting a kill in the back half, but it doesn't matter because that is going to be your one-fed carry getting taken out in the 1v3. That is an absolute wipe coming on through just the support of CB Dragons traded for 4 opposing members. The second Rift Herald now going to be picked up as well as somebody want to help Rivard here? I mean, I know he has a lot of Ren stacks, but you don't want to let him die to second Herald. That would be embarrassing. They are going to pick this one up, as that is just so satisfying. When are they going to run this? Yeah, that's nice. I love that. But CB Dragons, well and truly in the driver's seat. They're going to get the cross map as well. They're going to pick up both sides of the objective trade. They're going to take the Dragon and the Herald, although these tankier Dragons here, Kev, this is taking a while. Pickle's here with Royal coming up through, but I don't think they're going to contest in time.
Yeah, and it's at that point that you're going to be able to just smite it away. I don't think even had the smite up, but going to pick that one up anyways, quite easily for the side of CB Dragons. They were able to slow down the Dragon Soul Point of course, with that steal earlier from Royal 2. But going to be still, like you said, a huge gold lead right now garnered for CB Dragons. Have that Rift Herald on Rivered as well. So going to be looking to do some sieging here very shortly. I'd imagine probably going to leverage that into a Baron if they get a chance.
Yeah, it's a scary day to be Who Shot Me, because there is death around every corner. There are big team fight wombos, and the answers really aren't there unless Mr. Pickle really ups the play on the Taric here. I'm not sure if maybe Mr. Pickle is just not as comfortable on the Taric, if it's a little bit of a less played champion for them. Hasn't really been as crisp and clean as a lot of the Taric play I've seen from the dedicated one tricks, and that's kind of the problem with Taric as a champion, right? Is he requires a lot of dedication to really learn his play patterns, and he's like very niche, right? You pull him out in these situations where you need an anti-dive, a counter-engaged champion. So the amount of time that needs to be invested versus the range of applications that the champion actually has isn't necessarily equal. As we see the Mammoth get absolutely chunked out by Rivered here on this Callista. He is absolutely popping off. Has 2 items and a Zeal, has a QSS for good measure, so he can't even find a pick with Dunkelberg. He'll pick up a tier 2, and if you look at this vision line, it's just complete control for CB Dragons right now.
Yeah, well, Dodge, I think the truth of the matter isn't necessarily that we cast or curse them, other than this is just the VAS, and we get 3 games every single week.
Yeah, there's no escaping it. It might be a new split, but it's the same old VAS. Not only that, we get like these really cryptic best of 3s, right? Where it's like game 1, absolute stomp in one direction. Game 2 is shaping up to be an absolute stomp in the other direction. I don't envy us for having to analyze this, and I don't envy Crow for having to come up with like a quick and easy, concise, summary of how we got here when we invariably have to go back to the desk for Game 3. So it's gonna be wild as we see the base start to fall here for WSM. That's a nice cask onto Dunkelberg, whose shield was down. Now it's going to be the last-ditch effort. It's a nice combination as Gandhi is going to get the Cosmic Radiance. This is exactly what you need as he can continue to put out those Qs to find the shutdowns. The overextension came through. The teamfight composition finally paying dividends for the side of WSM. The ultimate caster curse coming through from us here, Kevbo, as that is going to be such a big shot in the arm for Who Shot Me.
Well, you see, Dodge, it starts with success and ends with Who Shot Me. Nice.
Oh
blast.
man, that's Nagini getting absolutely dumpstered on, and this is a free Baron yet to be taken as well. And that's just finally, the Cosmic Radiance was used in such a correct manner there. It was primed ahead of time. Gandhi had enough sustain to keep alive until that one ticked in, and then once it did, he could just free fire. And so much more well-timed. That was a great adaptation from Pickle to find more efficacy in these fights. And they were finally in a position where they had, security behind them, right? It was the exact way you draw up those fights. You're getting engaged on from one direction, and you can play it very standard front to back, let Mamek free fire, and you're not getting picked off, in the midst of the map. You have your base to play back to, and it's going to result in the Nasher going over to them. This is going to buy them a lot of time to let Mamek get towards that Infinity Edge. Now has 2 items complete, sitting on a pickaxe. And once that Sivir hits that late game fantasy, as fed as Rivered is, I just don't think he can keep up in these team fights.
Yeah, Sivir absolutely, once you have that significant amount of attack speed, going to be outputting an insane amount of damage. However, the other win condition, or possible win condition, not so much with a
that is going to be an engage coming on through, and a bit of a hilly hook is what I would call that one. That's the hook you don't want to hit, or in this case, the bandage toss you don't want to hit. As Cooper now trying to buy something out of this fight. Rivered's been free firing forever and can finally rend through, but now the Moonfall is starting to hit with a little bit more efficacy. That's Royal hitting the Crescent on the back end as well. Mamek's still here, proccing that fleet of foot, finding the chase downs. The laser is going to chunk him out, but he's playing the dangerous game. He's posturing, he's positioning, he's trying to chase Rivered out. Rivered will escape, but I think the era of CB Dragons has well and truly passed. I think the sun is set here, Kevo, because it's starting to look inevitable for WSM.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen a Caster Curse play out quite this well. Definitely was not my intention. I was definitely already prepared for a game 3. But holy cow, did they manage to turn things around in that last team fight. River trying to get something done. But not only are they not getting that soul point, but they're also losing so many shutdowns, and so many of them going over to the Sivir now with a bit of a shutdown of their own. Got the Kraken Slayer, got the Phantom Dancer, got a lot of attack speed, and just going to be building more. Of course, not surprised at all to see as well Sivir and Callista absolutely light years ahead in the CS. Going to continue to farm pretty easily with both of those champions as well.
Yeah, it's so funny, Kev, because you say they're light years ahead in the CS, and then I glanced out and I expected to see like 270 CS, and then I remembered I'm casting VAS. It's been a few weeks. It's been a while since summer, and I sort of forgot to adjust my expectations off of like casting CCS Diamond and casting LJL, so I was like, yeah, they must be really farmed up at this point. But no, these are gold players. They're not 10 CS per minute players, and that's fine. That's what we come to VAS for. We come for bangers like this, where anything can happen, where WSM can mount this comeback from what seemed like impossible circumstances. But that was definitely a little bit of a dude blinking gif moment for me.
They're going forward.
Yeah, this might actually be the setup that CB wants, but Gandhi once again gets on that backline, finds all the CC, and look at that Gore Drinker heal! Are you kidding me? Now Gandhi into the Cosmic Radiance as well. It gave so much time for the team, as that is going to be the 3-for-1. However, CB Dragons finally winning a team fight. They're trying to bring us to that game 3. They do not want to throw. After how they lost game 1, they cannot afford to let their mentals be impacted by throwing this game, so they are going to find a big team fight victory. They are going to crack the base. Whether they can end might be a different story. 15 seconds on Royal 2. Mr. Pickle and Mammoth following shortly behind. They have a wave. They have no Baron, but they have plenty of wave clear. If I was Kappa, I would try and opt to tank the turrets here to keep the minions alive so you can continue to keep that debuff on. You have to take down these turrets pretty quick, but this might be the overforce because now the members are hitting the rift and they've only taken the one. They're going to be forced to turn and run, but it's 2 already killed in the pursuit of the bases. Now the Moonfall going to bring Kappa Crusader in as well, and it's set up the perfect Dazzling Gleam from Royal 2 to take it out as well. Once again, CB Dragons, oh, they fly too close to the sun and their wings melt away.
Yep, a bit of an Icarus moment, like you said, for the CB Dragons here. They do have the super minions pushing with that inhibitor taken, but of course, that just means that.
Though, Kev. Oh my god! Look at the standing gold. There's so many turrets to collect. Oh. This is so bad. This is so bad for CB Dragons, and that's really bad for Cooper. I mean, he lives for a while. He's really tanky, but he does no damage, so that doesn't really matter. As you point out, like, yeah, the supers there are pushing, but that's a revenue stream to collect. That's 3 tier 1s going down like that. There's still so much gold for WSM to actually finally collect now that they have a map presence. Like, this gold lead's gone. It was like 8k at its highest point. Now it's 2k because there's just so much for WSM to collect off the back of that.
Yeah, and they're still not even caught up in the towers at this point either. It really does look like it's all going to come down to how this next dragon does turn out. Of course, I'm really looking to see, like you said, how the Mammoth can output damage, but also in that last team fight, it really was Nagini off to the side, outputting damage on the backline and preventing the Mammoth from stepping forward. Like you said, I think Who Shot Me really looking forward for that very straightforward front to back. While it will be kind of front to back for CB Dragons, but also really want to see Nagini kind of stepping off to the side and becoming a little bit unnoticed with a chance to get in. But this is some good setup. Maybe a Fnatic brush going to come through here for
Yeah, but they have to address the wave. They have to wander out and reveal themselves, and they're not going to find the engage. Now Gandhi is going to be separated by the team from the gravity well. The Cosmic Radiance does come through in time to keep him alive and ticking, however, as Cooper can't say the same. Going to get chased down, but he does make it out for now. That's going to be the Amumu dying in the back line as things not going so hot in the front line. It's a 1-for-1 top laner for support. Cooper going back in. The barrel going to find some damage, but the Mammoth kites it on out, so now it's the 2-for-1 in favor of Who Shot Me, but look at those supers they've been pushing the whole time. Now they're positioning towards Baron RCB Dragons as Nagini goes down. It's the 3-for-1 for Who Shot Me. Do they have the power to end off the back of this? You still have the Callista here. 14 kills for Rivered, but just doesn't feel like they have the impact in these fights that they once did, as this should be Soul Point going on over. Can they make the Baron trade?
They're really going to try. Callista, of course, going to have a lot of damage onto that. And of course,
not even close.
Yeah. With the Rend, might be able to get something done, but Crusader just not at enough health to tank this. But they're still going for it. They might end up just dying for it as well.
Oh, this is so sad, bro. Oh, what a throw coming on through from CB Dragons. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't say it. I don't want to beat up on them. But to let the game get to this position, it speaks to some work that has to be done by the Dragons here to get back up to tip-top form, and that's fine. It's week 1. They have plenty of time to approach that previous form, but it is a little bit disappointing to see them come into our first series of the split and play in this manner. The game's not over yet, though. It's not over till it's over. That is going to be the Baron augmenting the siege towards these tier 2s, which are just little pinatas full of gold ready to be whacked until they burst by the side of Who Shot Me. Gonna be 1,000 gold just in those tier 2s sitting there, and they should be completely exposed and ready to go. The one thing here, though, Kev, that I'm looking at is it is an almost naked Nexus. You know, it's a half-health Nexus turret is the only thing that stands between the Nexus and CB Dragons, but Cooper, he got grasped in the middle of his flag and drag, and that is just going to be an inescapable fate for him. Now it is the Nayram coming on out. It's 5-man strong with the Sivir ultimate, running it down mid. Their inhib is respawned as well. This could be the death push.
Yeah, they are really going to try to work in here. But I really don't know how on the side of CB Dragons they really end up winning this. River going to still be doing a lot of damage.
Yeah, but that's the aggressive Cosmic Radiance coming on out. That's going to be the stopwatch as well for the Diana. I mean, she does not fall on the back end. River trying to kite this out, trying to do what they can, but Callista was not built for the late game, unfortunately. Going to get pushed under these Nexus turrets are CB Dragons, as that's the shield bow procced. That's really unfortunate for River. That cooldown will not be available for the midst of the next fight, but it's going to be Who Shot Me playing this one safe. They don't want to throw what they've worked to recover off the back of a throw. They still have a lot of gold to access on this map. They have resets to take. They're not full build. They can still get some items onto the Diana, but this is a nice little Fnatic brush coming through. Dunkelberg. Kappa doesn't take the bait. Good for him. Good for him.
Yeah, a little bit too, hey, come get me kind of bit gonna come through. I'm not going to end up picking that one up. But no, neutral objectives up. A Dragon Soul stack fully recovered, as well as a gold lead, which, like you said, was very significant. I think it was probably at about 8k at its peak for the side of CB Dragons, is just totally falling apart right in front of their eyes.
What's absolutely crazy to me, Kevbo, is that's stopwatches on Aatrox and Sivir. That's you've been the 2 MVPs of the game for me so far in the Mammoth and Gandhi. And with the Taric and those stopwatches on Pop, it feels like they just cannot die in these fights. As, yeah, River has no shield bow, does have the GA, will go into it, but there's so much CC as the Mammoth goes unstoppable. It feels like there's no answers for CB, although Kappa trying to find the disruption, trying to find the CC, but it doesn't buy enough time as Nagini, pinched in the very bad spot, will be taken out as Spheric and Kappa were doing what they could, but these two meatballs will be meeting no longer. Maybe in hell will they see each other once again, as the Nexus turrets will be the next to fall. Kappa can only sit back and watch as the base does go to pieces. It will be Who Shot Me ascending out of nowhere to take down our defending champions in week 1, putting their names on the map. They did it in stomping style. They did it in comeback style. What can't this team do?
An absolutely massive performance going to come through a huge recovered gold lead for the side of Who Shot Me. But it's week 1. Like you said, I think that there still is a huge opportunity for the Dragons to continue learning with this team. Like I said, swapping in new players. It's been, 3 weeks since their best of 5 for finals. So gonna take some time to get used to playing with new players. Hopefully we will see them make a comeback. But Who Shot Me? I mean, they tried to answer their own question in the first game with the marksman comp. Which one of you is actually shooting me right now? I don't know. But still, like you said, an absolutely dominant performance. They seem extremely cohesive. I like even after casting all of last split, I don't think we saw another team able to turn and engage as a team that well.
I gotta cut you off because it's so funny. We've come in to the desk. You are in a void, and Proof is absolutely roasting us because all of our CB Dragons predictions are
completely
ready
wrong.
For the world to see.
Completely wrong. Absolutely smashed to oblivion. We were on Hopium saying, yeah, they're the defending champions. They're gonna do great. This is literally like episode 1 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, Kaiba's the best duelist in the world, and some random punk with spiky hair comes up and says, haha, my grandpa's deck is better, and just completely smashes him. Like, this is so insane to see this actually happen. It's not something that's impossible. It wasn't improbable. It just doesn't happen often. But 2 things happened here. 1, the defending champions lost in the first series of this split, and 2, we didn't go to 3 games.
Woo! Can I get a heck yeah from the chat? I get to stop sweating in front of my studio lights and go take a shower and finish packing for my beach vacation. Dodge is a happy caster.
It's insane. Insane to see. Like, I mean, hey, maybe that's just more to come. VAS fall split is completely different from summer and spring. And I'm very happy to see that. Great 2-0. There's Covbo. There he is. Our Narn Blitzcrank enthusiast himself. But yeah, it's just amazing to see out the gate Who Shot Me just completely coming in like a bull in a china shop, not letting anything stop them. Like, very scrappy games, very, very messy, heavy team fights and whatnot. There was just so much for them to do, so many talking points, and just, oh man, I'm excited to see.
Can I switch my favorite pick for the group?
I mean, CB looked a lot better in game 2. I think throws notwithstanding, we praised the draft coming through from WSM for a reason, because it had answers to everything that CB had. So at a certain point, it felt sort of inevitable that they would start winning as soon as CB slipped up. And CB slipped up a couple of times, because they threw for the first time in mid lane, and then they threw a second time after they took the inhibitor and overextended trying to end when the timers weren't long enough. So, it took a couple of throws from CB for WSM to take that game through. So, I wouldn't say they've come through and have immediately established themselves as favorites for the VAS, but this has basically been a litmus test for a new team for us here in the league, and they've come through and shown they're competitors, and we should keep our eye on them and continue to track their evolution. And you know what? That first win on the board is going to feel good, too. They got themselves up to an undefeated record in the standings.
Yeah, absolutely
right.
And we do have MVP votes in regular season.
Yes, absolutely. Game MVPs going through the entire regular season, coming through, and look, keep voting. We still got a little bit of time. There's plenty of time to get an MVP vote in there of who you think player MVP of this series is. Let's just it's like right now it's just really, really honestly, my opinion would probably be Gandhiopoulos up in the top lane. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that first game on Ornn was just like, okay,
Didn't
he's
die.
playing multi-tool champ himself. But that second game,
I
the
mean,
mental
he
fortitude.
gapped both games. Like, they
Like I
they
said,
gave.
I think
Sorry, Kev, go ahead.
I was gonna say, first game I know was 0 deaths and I had multiple solo kills.
Right.
The second game, pretty much
Kept them
solo
in the
carried
game.
the
Yeah.
mid game.
He was
The
keeping his
lifeline.
team in the game.
The only
Yep.
reason they stayed in that game, I think. Someone has
We
a
got a
fan
tie.
vote, though.
We've got a tie in the MVP vote, guys.
Okay,
Break the tie.
so there's 52 people watching in Twitch chat right now, and you're telling me we've only had 10 people vote?
Come on. Come on, chat. We gotta break
Incredible.
the tie here. Vote
Incredible.
Gandhi 2022. That's Infinite Dodge's message.
Oh my god!
Except for
But
you
yeah,
British chaps.
like every single, if you go down the line, like every single member on this team, I really love what Royalty was doing as well, and the bot lane of their team also was just absolutely smurfing. Like I was
Yeah.
not expecting them to be this amazing off right out the gate, but the Mamek and Mr. Pickle were just actually really good as a duo. Because we know how good River can be when River gets online. You know, Mr. Pentakill himself and all that jazz. But
I mean, we saw it in game 2. The Callista absolutely popped off. It just
yeah,
it
just
got
ran out of time.
outscaled at a
Just
certain
ran
point.
out of time.
Yeah.
And they just long have we waited. The Mamek activated, and you just saw
Indeed.
that late game Sivir damage doing what she does best right now.
Yeah, it's a nasty champion. As the poll has ended, we have our MVP. We've got Gandhi, who is not
Whoa,
default, and they did not
Gandhiopoulos.
play Bard, but you
It
know,
works.
we're adjusting. we're still getting used to a new setup here. We got our new producer coming in,
Yep.
so we'll just pretend that Gandhi played Bard. That makes it even more impressive that he's our MVP.
You know, if you
Game
played
on
Bar
in.
top and won, I would not be surprised. I'm gonna be honest.
We love this for Gandhi. Add a third W to the tool belt. Bard right alongside the Aatrox, right alongside the Ornn. That's like, I'm a top lane man, and I've always like maintained this list of like all like the Korean top laners, like the legends that I respect. Like there's this shared pool. Like Smeb and Huni played Rumble, right? So I always think of Rumble as a quintessential top lane champion, and I think of like, I don't know, Aatrox, sort of in the modern era as like a quintessential top lane champion. Bard, he deserves to be in that pantheon of quintessential top lane champions that every player should want to play as. We got the role right this time. Now we have another support coming through. Crow. This time it's Braum.
Yeah.
The strongest man in the game.
Where's Blitzcrank, honestly? The best
Yeah,
top
this-
laner. Just go and ask Becky Rita.
Yep.
80,
You ever play-
80 Blitzcrank top. I have a 100% win rate. Best champ. Actually,
Iron Fist.
no. Actually, really funny. I was out CSing a Garen playing 80 Blitzcrank top.
No
I
shit.
need the
Yeah.
receipts. I need the receipts. Oh my
this-
goodness. Oh my god.
That's just Garen players being Garen players, I suppose. As,
Love to see it.
Yeah. Anything else we want to cover here, boys, to end out our first week of the fall split?
I mean, look, I'm just gonna go down the list. Follow the socials. Get in the Discord. Follow all the Twitch channels. Just get ready for this fall season. We're here. 7 weeks of regular play, 4 weeks of playoffs. It's all multiple new teams. As you can see from the start, it's not the same as it was in summer. We had an upset right at the start, so only up we can go from here. I say that now, as we're gonna have sleepers all through the rest of the games. Like, if I just curse the entire split, I'm gonna be
It's
so mad.
impossible for VAS to have sleepers. Come on. Be
This
reasonable.
is true. This is true. Even if they are the most wacky, wild, blood-filled games, they're still going to be bangers. But I'm a beautiful crow. That is Infinite Dodge. That is Kevbo. We got proof behind the curtain, and we will see you guys. Hey, come back tomorrow, because VLS is happening, and we're starting that up. So if you like Valorant and you want to see some shooting stuff happen, there's that too. Watch out for VRS as well, and we will see you guys next time. So y'all be safe and have a wonderful night.